the Community College Vet Corps, and it was a film, a documentary called From Battlefield to Farm Field. If you haven't seen it already, I highly recommend it, and we will have another screening. We just happen to have one set up next Tuesday over at the Lair, 10:30 to 11:30, and Will be passing out some information on that shortly. But what this was a documentary put together for about post-9/11 veterans and the difficulty they have had transitioning back into civilian life once they separated from their military service. And at the same time, it combined this phenomenon happening in America with our farmers. Well, the reason that this is important to me is I'm the director of the Spokane Conservation District. We work directly with large and small-scale agricultural producers. And in this film, they quoted that the average age of our farmers is 59 years old, and they're leaving the farm. But we don't have a backfill. A lot of these kids that were raised on farms are not going back. And yet we have this population of veterans coming back looking for what we call a new mission. They need something new to do, a new focus. So this film was really about this marriage between these two groups of people and how that could work. When I left that day, I truly, truly was, and I'm not exaggerating, I was a changed person. I walked out of there and I thought, I have been at my job for 24 years, and although I know my work is very important in our world and how it plays out in farming and agriculture, this to me was a calling. And I said, I was with another coworker, and I said, we're going to do something. And I got back to my office, I started doing some research. I thought there's got to be something here in Spokane already like this. Certainly I can't be the first person to take this on. And there wasn't. And so I expanded out to Eastern Washington. Nothing. All of Washington. There's an organization up in Linden, Washington called Growing Veterans that's been going on now for 3 years. Fantastic program. Will and I and two other coworkers went over and visited them last week. It was amazing. And they are doing a lot of things the right way. And it was good for us because they've broken ground and we can actually learn a little bit from them and hopefully not make a few mistakes that we might have made on our own. But more importantly, we can collaborate now, and we've got something. There are organizations throughout the United States, but we are the first in Eastern Washington. So from that day, I formed a little committee of people that I thought, would be my friend and help me dream this thing up. And we started talking about how we could put something together, and we knew we wanted partnership. That was going to be a big piece of this. We needed a lot of people to come together. So we developed really a four-prong approach, and I'll list those out very quickly, and then I'll explain each one individually. But the four-pronged approach was an outreach program, and that outreach program is to touch both the veterans and the community, bringing them together. An education program, a mentorship program, and then ultimately employment for our veterans. So to go back to outreach, obviously we've got to find a way to let veterans know about this and to let employers, farmers, and ranchers know about this. So what we came up with was this idea of a launch period, and that's what we're in right now. So from now till November, we are calling this our outreach launch. And I went to a Farm Bureau meeting a couple months ago, just again started talking about this. I really didn't have a handle on where everything was going to come from yet. And at the end of my meeting, I said, so if you're sitting there wondering what you can do for me, and I just kind of blurted out a few things that I needed. The next day, this is the part where it's people that help people. The next day, I had an email from a local farmer here, and you might know them, Randy and Lisa Antman. They own Antman Farming up in Valley Ford. They're a big cattle operation. They're also excellent farmers. And he wrote me this email, and he said, you touched us last night. My wife and I want to donate a tractor and 2 acres of land and open up our facility, our horse facility. They have 25 horses as an equine therapy place for vets. You have no idea how that thing just exploded and really helped this program go. It was fantastic. So here's the deal. The tractor is a 1954 International Farmall 300. Actually, I think we'll bring a picture of it up. a little work. So they invited me out, and I'm thinking, I'm going to take home a tractor. And I went, wow, well, this is going to be a little project here. Once again, I just reached out. I started talking to people, telling our story about what we wanted to do, and lo and behold, I got a hold of a gentleman, Gary Wagner, with St. John Hardware down in Fairfield, and told the story of what I wanted to do. The man started crying, and he said, my son is a vet, and he has PTSD. He said, I want to do this for you, and I'm going to do it for free. And they donated thousands of dollars of mechanical work to bring this tractor back to life. My next issue was, we needed a paint job. We got to do something really cool with this tractor because we're going to be in parades and fairs and at events. And I reached out to a couple places here locally, and honestly, everybody wanted to help, but I had a little bit of a timeline because I want this in the Fairfield Flag Day Parade on June 13th, and that's just a couple weeks away. But there was a farmer in Ritzville, Brian Borth, and his two sons, and they own Flash's Auto Body here in Spokane. They do restorative work on collector cars, and he said, we're going to do that tractor for you, and we're going to do it for free. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, so they're donating that. Wounded Warrior Project of Spokane is actually paying for the paint, but these folks are doing all the work, and they're not just giving it the 40-foot, spray job. They have sandblasted. This thing is going to be a showpiece. I'm probably going to take it to shows and win awards on this tractor. It's crazy how this has turned out. So here's what it's going to look like. It's going to be farm all red, of course, with the frame, the engine, and everything. But the hood and the fender panels are going to be red, white, and blue camel. It's going to be spectacular. It's going to be so fun. So that's all in the works right now. That's part of our outreach. That is how we're going to tell our story. So we're going to take this thing out to events and get people interested. And what I mean by that is get vets interested that are in that transitional phase, and get farmers, ranchers, and agriculturally based businesses interested in having an intern or a mentorship. Okay? So that's part one. Part two is education, because we really feel like that's a big component to this. We have a program that we've partnered with WSU for curriculum. It's called Cultivating Success. It's 12 weeks long. It's WSU curriculum, but we're having it taught here at the community college, so we're also partnering with them. 12 weeks long. We call it our sifter because it takes all those ideas that they might have, that a vet might have about wanting to farm or ranch or something like that, and puts it in a sifter box, and we see what shakes out for them after 12 weeks. It could be anything from, actually livestock ranching. It might be greenhouse. Will's in a greenhouse program and wants to go into that. It could be small-scale production. It could be custom seeding work. We don't know, but we're going to help them. By the end of that 12 weeks, they're going to have a business plan and an idea of where they want to go with this. It may even spur them on to continue into using their GI Bill and going forward with some other sort of educational opportunity. It might. At the end of that, though, they will have a certification. And that's the point that we can start matching them up in our mentorship program, part two. So that's where I'm now collecting. I'm collecting people. I'm a people collector right now. I'm collecting people that want to be involved in these internships. So I've already got a couple. USDA APHIS office, which is located on the same campus as I. They have a program where they go out every summer and do biocontrol agent collection, which is little bugs, and the different species or little bugs have to be collected at certain periods of time. Will's going to be going out on that this summer. He'll be spending about 6 weeks in different locations all over Washington, Idaho, and Montana in collection periods. When I talked to them about this program, once again, I'm not exaggerating, the gentleman, the head of it, came over and sat in my office, and he just cried. He just kept having to wipe his eyes. I just can't believe you guys are doing this. It's just so amazing. And it was fantastic. And they're taking our program all the way back to Washington, D.C., because they think it can be a model around the United States. I've got another one where we actually had a vet that came in and wanted to, he's actually already started. He wanted to get started in something. So we've made a low-interest loan to him to help him buy some small-scale farming equipment so he can do custom work on these small acreages. In Spokane County, we have a lot of people that have 10 acres. 1 acre with their house, and then 9 acres they don't know what to do with. And they call us all the time. They say, do you guys do seeding? Can you come out and spray? What should I plant? We don't have anything right now, but we've got somebody that's getting something going, and he'll be rolling by this fall. Guess who he's hiring? All vets. He himself is a former Army Ranger, all vets. So he's going to be one of our highlights for our program. So that's how the mentorship works. It's kind of a peer-to-peer thing. It's all back to that people helping people, that relationship thing. And then, of course, that just helps make the leap from that transition to transformational. And that transformational is really about those vets then finding their niche, finding what they want to do. So we can put them into these internships and they can try it out. And yes, we're going to pay them to do this. So I'm working right now with the Vet Corps on developing job descriptions for each one of these as they come along, and then pairing people up. So my board that I work for is just, they're a fantastic group of people. And when I came to them with this idea, I was able to get enough money together for a vet intern, which is Hulings. I want to introduce. He's a student here at the community college, doing a fantastic job. Let me tell you, this guy is a spokesperson for our program. But when I talked to them about it, they said, yeah, 1 this year, 10 next year. And you know what? I think we're going to make it. I think we will have 10. We might have 20. I hope we do. So that's kind of the gist of the program. We have a couple of events coming up. Here's my big question. So if you're sitting back at your table wondering, gee, I wonder what I could do. Here's what you can help me with. We've got events coming up with this tractor. I need volunteers for that to either walk with the tractor and talk about the program, or help at a table that we're going to have with our information. But June 13th, the Fairfield Parade. June 20th, the Tico Slippery Gulch Parade. July 11th, the Cheney Rodeo Parade. September 24th, Valley Fest, and September 25th, Rockford Southeast County Fair. All of those are already in the books, and I know there's more to come. That's just what I have right now. I need people. I need vets and people involved with veterans that are interested in helping out with those events and being able to learn a little bit more about this and be able to talk to people about it. In addition to that, some of our bigger, loftier goals that we have, we would like more land. The Edmonds have given us 2 acres. We eventually want to get, either through a lease or a long-term easement kind of thing, we want to get acreage that we can actually give to vets, 1 to 2 acres of their own, that they can farm on their own and they can produce. This little farm that we went to over in Linden, 3 acres, wholesale, they brought in $45,000 last year. That's a living wage. People can live on that. Not only that, that's food that they know where it came from. Not only that, they provided food back to the food bank, back to the VA. I mean, this is just such a community-involved, program, far more reaching than just that one person. But really what it does is it helps bring those vets back into that new mission. It helps them. In the movie, it talks about it de-escalates. It takes them from that destroyer mentality back into that creator, living, nurturing kind of field, and that is healing. There is therapy in that. So while we have this really as as a career path, and we're filling the need that we have as American farmers are leaving that profession. And I won't say it's a byproduct, but there's therapy that is coming and healing that's coming with it that is just so amazing. You can't pay to have that done. In fact, there is a new program called Care Farming. I've got to explore it a little bit more, but it's actually a prescription that's written to get out on the farm, play in the dirt, 1 to 3 times a week, that kind of thing, and it works for people. So land. We'd like to find somebody that's got some farmable ground that maybe isn't using it or thinks there's a higher and better use of it. And then we need those employment opportunities. So if you're in a position that you think this is either, falls in line with that farming, ranching, ag-based business, I'd like to talk to you and see if there's a way that I can work with you on developing an internship. And remember, farming goes far beyond the field. I mean, there are a lot of jobs. We have a lot of very, very skilled people coming back that can do things, and it may not be necessarily on the farm, but it's still ag-related. So that's a little bit about it. We have some brochures that we'd like to pass out. My contact information is on the back. I would like to have Will come up. He's going to talk in just a few minutes. One of our big sponsors sponsors is Northwest Farm Credit Services. They pay for half of Will's internship, and they've got their own vet initiative internally. They have invited Will to go out to Washington, D.C. with them the first week of June and take our program back there. So if you'd welcome Will Hulings.
Hello. Well, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I am a student here. I'm in the Greenhouse Technology program. This is my third year. Actually, I'd be graduating this quarter, but because of my internship, I had to drop some classes. But yeah, it's been really good. I've got to work with the conservation district, and they, you know, like she said, I'm a greenhouse student, so a lot of the stuff that they work with, you know, I'm also working with too. But I've actually taken their cultivating success classes. It was in the winter quarter, and it was pretty interesting. It's, you know, like I said, I was a student, so a lot of this stuff I've already learned. But I mean, what I liked about it was also that I got to meet other business owners that were actually already, you know, doing what I wanted to do. And I actually got invited to a big convention at the Red Lion Hotel downtown, and I got to meet a lot of business owners that are actually, they're called young and beginning producers. So but basically some of these guys had like 15,000 acres, they had 3,000 cattle, you know, like, so big operations. But it was kind of, this convention was kind of to teach them how to, you know, how they would, you know, if they had a business, you know, basically what they need to do to be kind of successful, because a lot of times businesses fail because of like family and stuff, or, you know, financial. So they actually had two doctors from Virginia Tech, and they actually talked about finances and stuff as it relates to agricultural businesses. So, but also on top of that, you know, I work every day. I get out of class about 10:30, and then I ride a bike. So I don't drive a car. Sorry, but I ride to the conservation district, and I just basically, you know, I'm their intern, so I do pretty much whatever they want me to do. Right now, I'm working for Garth. He's actually the forester here in healing in ponderosa pine trees. So, you know, that's actually the city of Spokane's our tree for the city of Spokane, the ponderosa pine. So we got like 10,000 ponderosa pines, so I've been out there planting them like grass. So
I have 3 you can have any day.
But yeah, I've been learning a lot of different things. They just had a big tree sale. So if you guys aren't on their email address or signed up for, you know, our newsletter, you should do that conservation. But it was pretty interesting because they have a big tree sale, and, you know, that was pretty cool to see. I got to meet a lot of people too doing that. And then, what else? Yeah, as Vicki mentioned, I'm pretty honored to be able to go to Washington, D.C. to represent our program. When I was younger, my dad's retired Master Sergeant in the Air Force, and he retired here at Medical Lake, but for 4 years I lived at Andrews Air Force Base, which is right outside of D.C., so it's kind of weird because where I'm going to be staying at is in Capitol Hill, and I actually went to school there for, I think, like 4th through 6th grade, no, actually through 7th grade. So it's going to be a little interesting to be back and kind of, you know, but I'm pretty honored, and hopefully, you know, I get to meet some, you know, other vets, and I'm looking forward to meeting some of the congressmen, hopefully get to talk about, you know, what they're doing to help us, you know, as far as, you know, and
He will when he goes out there.
that's pretty much it. I just, you know, I would hope that you guys could also, on the 19th of May, which is talking about the ground operations, and it's a pretty, it means a lot to me because if it wasn't for this documentary, I probably wouldn't have this job. I wouldn't be talking to you guys. I'd probably be getting out of class and doing whatever, you know, going to work wherever. But because of this documentary, you know, I have a chance to basically, you know, better myself and hopefully achieve, you know, goal of owning my own business and being successful. But it is a very good documentary. We've actually shown it here at the Vets Club. I mean, it's just, it's actually really heartwarming. Also because, I mean, just some of the stories you hear about other vets, what they experience when they come back, and what they go through, you know, it's just touching, you know. Myself, I was kind of touched by it because I've been going to school full time, but it's been hard. You know, it's like last summer I tried to find a job and it was very rough. So, and some things happened, but I'm doing better, you know, as far as financial and stuff. But you know, so I could see where, you know, trying to get vets into, you know, like something that they enjoy doing, you know, something that helps other people, you know, how it can help. So.
Well, what do we do about parking if we want to attend this?
Ride a bike.
Yeah. That's what I would suggest. I've actually went here 8 quarters and I've never driven a car on this campus. And I ride in snow, rain, so yeah, ride a bike.
No,
But you'll
Rudy,
save a lot of
Rudy,
money.
if you email Rudy, he will get parking passes all lined up for you.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey, Will, when did you serve and what branch?
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes. Well, just so you guys know, I was in the Navy. I went in the Navy in 1994, and it's kind of weird. I got a long story. Actually, when I was in boot camp, I actually came down with pneumonia, and because I was still in boot camp, they told me, well, they did chest x-rays, and they said that I had a benign tumor in one of my bronchial tubes, and the reason why I wasn't getting better is because my lower lobe of my right lung was infected with pneumonia. So they said they had to do surgery. So, like I said, I was still in boot camp, so they medevaced me from Great Lakes to Fort Lewis and to Madigan, and the Army removed the middle and lower lobe of my right lung. And so they sent me home to Medical Lake. That's where I'm from, and I was home for 30 days on medical or med hold basically. Then they sent me back to Great Lakes, and they gave me the choice. Well, you could either stay in or you can get out medically. Well, I chose to stay in. So in order for me to stay in, I'd have to pass all my, you know, my running and sit-ups and all that. So they put me in a special unit, and I ended up passing everything. And yeah, so after that, they assigned me to the USS John C. Stennis. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that carrier. Yeah. But it's a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier based in Bremerton right now. And, so I got assigned to this aircraft carrier, and it still wasn't even built. So yeah, they sent me to Newport News, Virginia, and that's where they built all the nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. And it was nighttime, and I get there, and I'm like, so where's this ship at? And they're like, well, look outside. So I look outside, and all I seen was this huge, like, I'd never seen anything so big in my life. And yeah, it was my ship. And so I spent pretty much most of my career on board the Stennis. So I did all their sea trials. I did their maiden deployment in '98. We went around the world. I've been to all over the world. That's pretty much where I spent my time in the military, and so I've seen different things, you know, like, and I really enjoyed it. If I would have stayed in, I probably would have retired last year, but, you know, I was kind of young, and, you know, I just was getting tired of being on the ocean, so I got out. But I kind of got to, you know, like, wanting to, because all my jobs I've ever did were, like, mechanical. I worked with hydraulics and steam, basically like a grease monkey. I worked as a driver, but there was a point where I was unemployed, and I just thought, well, I've always liked growing things and doing stuff like that. So I decided, well, they came out with the BOW Act. I think it was Obama, but he signed that into law. Actually, Bush or one of them too. But part of it was a VRAP, and so what the VRAP did was gave me a chance to come back to school, and the VA would pay for a year of my schooling. So I chose to come to SEC because it had to be a 2-year school, and that's how I kind of came into being a greenhouse student. I love it because you get to grow plants, and when it's like 30 degrees out, I can go inside the greenhouse, and it's like 70, 80 degrees. It's just beautiful. So that's pretty much it. So
we're hoping as Will finishes up this program and we get our program really launched, that we can help him in that transformational phase, so he can go into the mission of histories. In November, it's actually on November 13th, we are partnering with the Pacific Northwest Tilt Conference that will be held here in Spokane. It's not held here very often, but they're going to be here this year at the Convention Center, and they've given us Friday, November 13th, as a symposium day, which we will be featuring our veterans. So all of our veteran programs. We would love to have some of you people there too with your programs, because we want to offer all services that are available. And we have a number of really great workshops. But one of the things that's really special is that we will be having a couple screenings over at the Magic Lantern Theater during this time. We'll have the director, Delaney Ellis, from Battlefield to Farmfield here in Spokane, and she will be available to talk and talk a little bit more about how she got started on the film and what it meant to her. And then what Will didn't mention is that his cousin is also a vet, and at one time he had 5 deployments back to back. He was shot up. When he came back, obviously the depression set in. He was on 42 different medications and suicidal. And he was given an opportunity to go to one of these equine therapy places, and he did that. But he said to himself, I'm going to go today, and then I'm going to come home and end my life. But he went, and then he went again, and then he went again, and he worked with one horse named Fred, and he attributes Fred to saving his life. And the movie's called Riding My Way Back, and we will have them here as well. This all kind of goes full circle because, as I told you, I have a son in the military as well. My son's epic horse artist. He draws epic horse portraits by Ben Perriman, Facebook. It's just a passion that he has. Well, Will, when I first hired him, I invited him to our home for Thanksgiving dinner, and we're talking, and he's talking about his cousin in this film. And my son's going, Fred, a horse named Fred. I got a phone call from some lady, and she wants me to draw this horse named Fred for her son. This horse saved her son's life. That was Will's aunt. I mean, it was just this crazy alignment of the stars. So, anyway, that'll be November 13th. Love to see you guys there. Contact information would be great. So if you have a program that you think would fit in there or a service that you offer, again, my contact information's on the back of the brochure. We'll pass those out now. And I guess I'll allow a couple minutes. Is that okay, Rudy? If there's any questions that anybody has. Will, could you just start passing around the brochures while we're here? But is there any questions that I might answer for you? Yes. How long is your internship? The internships vary depending on what they're doing. So we actually had one internship that was literally just a couple of weeks long. We had a guy, a vet, wanted to go into ranching. We hooked him up with one of who we consider our best ranchers. They met up, they worked one-on-one together. He got everything he thought he needed to go, and he's rolling. So it could just be anything from, a few weeks to a year.
And are you working with veteran-owned restaurants around here to connect them with those local ranchers?
That has come up as we develop our model for the 2 acres of land that we've been given. That has come up as one of the areas that we need to pursue is supplying those restaurants with our goods. Yes. So not yet, but it's on the radar.
And I assume you're connected with the program here then, the culinary program?
We are not connected yet. Again, the 2 acres is just now going under its business modeling right now. So we just got the soil sampled. We just recently had a couple specialists come out and look at it. One of them is Dr. Jill Clapperton. I don't know if that means anything to you, but just Google her. She's amazing. She's a soil scientist renowned around the world. And she went up there. She's so excited about this program. She went up there and she's given us her input on what she thinks we could grow in this climate on that hillside, blah, blah, blah. So we're just, all of that's going on right now.
Okay, because the school also has an entrepreneurship program for students who are interested in doing an entrepreneurship, future forward. And I know my husband's one of them in the class that would be very interested in connecting with a program like what you have, especially kind of expounding on, as you talked about, some of that internal therapy.
Yeah.
So that's why I was kind of interested, and I believe I was given your information, so I'll connect
Great.
with you after.
Super, thank you. Anything else? Well, I want to thank you all, and again, this is just such a neat group of people because, again, I know where your heart is, as mine, and I think, together we can do really great things and honor those veterans as they deserve to be honored.
Thank you, Will, for sharing your story. And Vicki, thanks for what you're doing. I got to thank Ray for introducing me to Vicki. He said, I got to lay the chain meat, you're going to go to Orlando's for lunch. So I Googled Orlando's, and it kept getting... There is no
So let's
Orlando's
go
in
there.
Spokane.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Can you tell us what you did for the cemetery in terms of...
absolutely. So, if you don't know Ray, you need to know Ray, because Ray knows everybody. And Ray has taken an interest in the cemetery and knows that we've got plantings out there, and we always want to add more. But the West Plains is the West Plains, so it's never going to be a forest. And he knows we have a need for trees periodically. And he introduced me to Vicki because one of the things they do, and we'll talk about it, they've got a nursery out there and they sell trees. They sell saplings to the community and then larger trees to different organizations, and that fits our need out at the cemetery. In fact, it's going to help save about 75% of my cost on trees by using her facility. So that's, to me, it's huge because we watch taxpayer dollars very, very closely. I don't have a big budget, and I'm a taxpayer just like you all. I need to make sure that we do everything we can to be mindful of those dollars. So Garth, who's her forester, and he's a arborist, has already come out, done an assessment of the property. He's offered to do some soil sampling to help us out with all this stuff, and recommended some tree types that we hadn't even considered because some of the trees just don't like that wind out there or the type of soil that we've got. So we look forward to continuing that partnership. Thanks, Ray, for connecting us. Everyone else needs to get to know Ray. And this is just a great story all the way around. When we first met, Vicki had this idea, and it's already turned into a model. And it's just great to see it coming forward on this. And I think, Will, you'll appreciate this. You talk about the ship wasn't even built yet.
Oh, yeah.
Here. In the Air Force, we have a saying every now and then, and Colonel will get this one. We have a tendency of flying the aircraft before it, while it's still being built. So yeah, it happens. Sometimes we're working on getting things right in the process. Can we start here and go around the room and see what initiatives you got going on? Any updates that you might have in the group?
Laura Ainsworth, VA, we have the R&E services, and we provide employment services as well as education for veterans.
Hi, I'm Loretta, Housing Program Manager at SNAP. A couple of updates. Scotty Reed is our new Vista for the Veterans Program, and he has completed his PSO, so he will be starting with us full-time. He's in California this week, we'll be back next week. So we're looking for all opportunities for him to come out. He will be teaching budgeting, credit management, We'll be combining our homebuyer education with his credit and budgeting class. So we're going to be offering more services, but we really want to get into